Hi folks, today I have an exclusive news for you. Something you haven't seen before. I have the first leaked image of the Sony A7V, the most important full-frame camera in the Sony E-mount range, because it's the camera that sells the most higher units, and so Sony really cannot miss it, cannot make any misstep. And what I can show you today are two images. I still don't have the final specs, so I cannot share specs yet because I'm totally uncertain, but about the images I'm certain, so I can show you real leaks, okay? And before we kick off, take 1 second time to like this video, because after I publish this video, everybody will copy me, alleged so, many do not cite me as source. It is what it is, but if you like this video, it just helps me to stay a bit on top, because my channel is still very small compared to the big guys. And also, obviously, if you don't want to miss any of the upcoming leaks, because I will likely share some more images and leaks in the next days about the Sony A7V and also the Canon R6 Mark III. If you don't want to miss it, subscribe, hit the notification button to not miss any of the upcoming videos. So folks, I'm very tired because I worked tonight to get to those images, and the second reason is actually I already recorded this video, had the wrong sound setting, so the sound was bad, so now we're doing it, so I'm very exhausted. Before we talk about the Sony A75, the R6 Mark III is likely to be announced within the next 1 to 2 weeks. The reason being is that many influencers are in Japan right now saying that they're at a special Canon event, so that's official. I suspect we're getting the R6 Mark III, and I suspect it will use the same C50 35 megapixel sensor, and this camera will set the new standard, and hopefully Sony can match or outperform it. That still has to be seen even after this video, because today I can only show you the images and not the specs of the camera. But the R6 Mark III is coming, and by the way, if you have some info, you find some info here and there, and you want to share it, use this email address and this contact form. Don't be misled by the fact that I'm giving you sonyalpha@gmail.com as an email address. Every rumor website I have for rumors and rumors, mirrorless rumors, and so forth has its own email address, but I prefer to give you one every time I make those videos, so just send me the info there, and then I will publish it on mirrorless rumors or whatever on the right rumor website, if depending on what rumor you are sending to me. Okay folks, so R6 Mark III is coming, and I hope that in my next, this week, in my next videos, I will tell you more about this camera. But today I want to show you the Sony A7V. A bit of a premise, which is very important because you have to understand how this works, okay? What I'm going to show you is a 100% legit image of the Sony A7V. Why do I know this is legit and not an AI created animation or video, like for example the DJI was, which turned out to be a fake rumor, but I told you that I had no idea in this case if this was legit or not. In this case, yes, because the source sent me a ton of images and also videos of the camera where you can see the camera all around, and this really, it's so hard to fake, so I cannot show you the video and many of the images, because you see the surroundings and ambience and also people and pieces, dresses and so forth, and I don't want to put that source at any risk. So what I can show you today are just two images that are cropped where you don't see the environment, and no reflection on the LCD where you see other people and so forth, you know. I got the permission from the source to post those images, so thanks to the source for this. And so keep in mind that I'm 99% sure what you're going to see is the real camera. Here's the world's exclusive first leaked image of the Sony A7V. So this is a cropped image of the A7V. Do not see the environment where this image has been taken. That's why you also see those white pieces on the side, because I wanted to hide the hand, the reflection, and also a piece of the background you saw on this image. And from this image we can already learn what's new on the camera. Of course, the first thing you will notice is the A7V logo. You will also see the new 4-way articulating LCD screen. The A7V also doesn't have the playback send icon that it had on the A7 IV. As you know, also the A1 II doesn't have this icon. You see the new control wheel, which is the one that you also have on the A12. The A7IV had a different control wheel. You also see that the C1 button did move up a tiny bit to make room for the new bigger LCD screen. By the way, the source didn't tell me if the LCD screen is exactly the same of the A12, and you can see the bump on top of the C1 button. That's to make room for the LCD screen. On the A12, that button is for the recording button, so that's the difference with the A12. The C1 button that was in that position on the A7IV is also there on the A75, just at a tiny bit on a higher position. On the top right, you see the real estate of the A75, which is exactly the same of the A7IV. On the A12, we have the C1, C2 button on the top right. But here on the A75, we had the C2 and the recording button, just like on the A7IV. And here comes the first bad news. It doesn't look like the A75 has the same cool grip design of the A12. As you see, the top is the same of the A74, and also the grip is similar to the A74. But I was actually expecting the A75 to have the same, exactly the same A12, A93 grip. Doesn't have it. That's for sure. Okay, folks? So that's what we learned from this image. So not much, but we know this is real. I know it. And here you see a couple of changes that show you what Sony improved on the A75 when it comes to the handling on the button layouts and so forth. Okay. Now comes the second leak image that I can show you, and this one is going to create a ton of discussion. So I really cannot wait to read your comments after you watch this. But there is an important note the source told me, and you have to keep it in mind, okay? Basically, while the body that you're seeing here is from an early prototype and 99% certain to be on the final version, so that's it. The software has been just copy pasted from the A74, and it's a very, very, very early version with bugs and mistakes and so forth. So I'm going to show you an image of the back of the A75 that shows the menu with the resolution of the sensor, okay? And the source told me, watch out, it might be still off and wrong, so there's still a small chance here that we are getting something different. The source had no chance to get a spec sheet. He only saw the camera, could play a tiny bit around, but wasn't told about the specs, okay? And actually I have a second source that told me the same, and he had the chance to see the camera in completely different locations. So it looks like at a very early stage people were allowed to see the camera without just to get a feeling, without having a sense of what specs the camera will have. Anyway, here is the leaked image of the back of the camera, and you can see that it takes 33 megapixel images, but this doesn't yet prove that this is exactly the same Sony A7 IV sensor. I've been told by sources that Sony told them it's a new sensor, but you know how marketing works. It already happened a couple of years ago that Sony sold the same sensor as new because they made some tweaks. So in worst case, we're getting the A7 IV sensor, so the same sensor but with new tweaks for improved speed, better dynamic range. That image that I showed you that shows 33 megapixel is indeed valid for this camera and not just a bug or whatever. Then this could mean, one, that this is just the same sensor with tweaks, and Sony will say, yeah, it's an improved new sensor. Second option, which would get me more excited, is that it actually is a 33 megapixel partially stuck sensor, so completely new but trimmed for speed. That would make me definitely happy, would make a ton of sense. So let's hope that if indeed this is a 33 megapixel A75, that it will at least have a new version of this sensor that is really new and not just tweaked. But I hope that in the next days I can finally tell you more about this. I have two sources that saw the camera, had a chance to play with it, asked them to provide me the final info about the sensor. As soon as I can, I will make a new video, okay? If you have more info, you stumbled across some info and you think it's reliable, contact me using this email address and contact form. This would help me a lot. The more you send me, even if you're unsure, it helps me to get a better picture in the long term about what the specs of the A75 will be. Now, I tell you my opinion now. Why having a tweaked A7 IV sensor is more likely, and why I actually hope that this is wrong. The reason why I think that the A7 IV might use a tiny bit tweaked, improved 33 megapixel sensor is the Sony FX2 that was launched 4 months ago. This camera has the same A7 IV sensor. Now, if Sony would launch an A75 with a much better sensor, the FX2 would make little sense. If you can get a A75 that has a better video performance than the FX2 with no crop and so forth, would make the FX2 pretty pointless or less interesting. Of course, we're still comparing apple and oranges because the FX kind of body style, you know, that can be screwed and used for cine use has some unique features that the A75 of course doesn't have. But the A75 also, in my opinion, cannot rely on using the same old A7 IV sensor. There's nothing really dramatically wrong with that sensor when it comes to the photographic performance, but when it comes to the video performance, it still has crop and so forth. And we are living now in an era where nearly every camera manufacturer that releases new cameras, Nikon, Panasonic, Canon, has 4K 60p without crop and a ton of high quality video performance features. If the A75 would use that old sensor without proper new improvements, it would mean that it would still have crop and so forth. And I think they cannot afford it because this is a camera they have to sell in a high amount of units and also for the next 4 years. So it cannot feel old already at the start because the Canon R6 III is coming soon and it maybe has that very good C50 34 megapixel sensor that records 4K without crop. I think if the Sony A75 is just a Sony A7 IV, which means a Sony 33 megapixel sensor, old sensor with that minor tweaks and the new AI chip, it's not enough. Considering also that it's rumored to have a price close to $3,000, it would make it look quite old. Cannot see the A75 becoming a success other than, yeah, because people are in the system and the new AI chip certainly makes maybe some compelling reason for some existing Sony A7 IV user to update because you have a super fast autofocus performance, better object recognition and so forth. So the AI chip from Sony is top of the notch and inside the A75 will make a difference. But if all the rest doesn't improve, I think it will be a hard sell. But we are now speculating about the worst because maybe it has a fantastic partially stuck sensor and then we're all happy, okay? So let's hope for point 2, but let's be prepared for point 1 that we are getting a tweaked Sony A7 IV sensor with higher dynamic range and faster readouts maybe, so to have higher frame rates, maybe even some more video recording options. But if it still has crop at 4K 60p in 2025 and then it has to sell till 2029, in my mind, I cannot make sense of this, but let me know in the comment system if I'm wrong or too pessimistic, okay? And really, I say this as a Sony shooter. I use the A7R5, love the lens lineup, so I think when it comes to autofocus performance, the lens, the ecosystem, they are still top, but sometimes cameras like the RX One, R3, FX2, give me a mixed feeling, and A75 hopefully doesn't give me the same mixed feeling like the other cameras we had this year. So hopefully after this video sources will contact me and tell me no, it's a 33 megapixel sensor with entirely new design, not just new tweaks to make it look like it's new, but it's the same old, okay? So folks, now you saw the Sony A75. We still don't know much about this camera, but at least I can tell you October, November the camera is coming. You saw the first image, so you saw the first changes on the body that the Sony A75 will have over the Sony A7 IV. You saw the back with the menu showing you that it has 33 megapixel, but I told you this might be a bug or unfinished software. Now expect me to, as soon as I can, show you more images. I asked the 2 sources that saw the A75 to please help me out to figure out the basic specs so that we finally know what the sensor will be, if it still has crop in 4K 60p and so forth, if video quality has been improved, which in my opinion is important, and if there are some other changes that we don't know as of yet. So I think now things will move fast, so definitely stay tuned to this channel and subscribe, because I think even today or tomorrow I might be able to give you an update, and hopefully also we'll have some info about the Canon R6 Mark III, which is definitely also an intriguing camera. That it will be a nice battle between the two cameras, and let's see who will turn out to be ahead by November between the two. As of now, things look more favorable for the Canon, but things can change quickly because we're still in the rumor and also speculation realm. So even if you now, like a proper keyboard hero, are starting to send you hate messages down the comment system of this video, be aware that we still have no certainty except of the fact that the Sony A7V and the Canon R6 Mark III are coming, and that the A75 images are likely 99% to be real. But about the specs, we can discuss them and be frustrated, but there's still some room for changes and surprises, okay, folks? Now I'm really tired, and I hope that the audio did work this time, because I'm not going to do it a third time, okay? See you soon, folks.